Since the end of World War II, the United States military has been regarded by many nations as the most powerful in the world, but now it faces a recruiting crisis unlike anything it has dealt with before.
The U.S. military is struggling to recruit the nation's next generation of service members, those from Gen Z. The Army is expected to be about 15,000 recruits.
People simply aren't registering for military service, and this problem is likely to worsen. Some recent legislation concerning McDonald's and other fast food restaurants may actually be partly to blame. In the early days of the United States, the nation maintained a small standing army of just over 3,000 people. However, by the time of the Mexican-American War in 1846, the military had grown to over 100,000. At its peak during the Civil War, the Union Army included over 1 million members. To increase military membership, the U.S. used a draft, which forced young men to serve even if they didn't want to. The draft was highly controversial, with many arguing that it contradicted the principles of freedom the nation was founded upon.
From 18th Precinct, the mob are sacking houses 27th Street and 7th Avenue. We have no force to send.
From 16th Precinct, all the stores are closing on 8th Avenue from fear of the mob in 17th Street.
In 1863, a series of draft riots broke out in New York City, resulting in nearly 120 deaths. Rioting was so severe that President Abraham Lincoln had to send in the Union Army troops to quell the violence. Despite the draft's unpopularity, the U.S. government saw it as necessary and reinstated it in 1917 to assist with World War I. Over 4 million troops were mobilized, and in 1940, the draft became permanent with the Selective Service and Training Act.
America's most epical call to arms and preparedness. Millions of men from 21 to 36 line up and sign up throughout the nation.
During World War II, the draft was heavily used, expanding the military size to nearly 14 million. The draft ended after the Vietnam War, and today our military includes about 1.4 million members, making it the third largest in the world. However, military recruiters are expected to face major challenges in maintaining this force over the next few years. Between 2025 and 2029, the population of 18-year-olds in the U.S. is projected to decrease by 15%. Most new military recruits join after high school, seeing it as a path for those who don't want to attend college or are uncertain about the job market.
Have you given any thought to your future? Thought?
Military recruiters frequently visit high schools and community events in an effort to attract young people. But with the decline in population of 18-year-olds, the military may need to shift its focus to recruiting people in their early 20s. There's another issue aside from population decline. The job market for young people is strong.
If you are looking for a job, you may want to consider checking with your local bars and restaurants. After fighting to recover from the pandemic's grip, restaurants are now dealing with a shortage of workers.
With fewer young Americans, businesses that traditionally hire high school and college-aged individuals are also struggling to find enough employees. Many businesses have had to increase their starting wages just to attract more workers. The federal minimum wage in the U.S. is $7.25 per hour, but over 30 states and the District of Columbia have set higher minimum wages. In September 2023, California's governor signed a law raising the minimum wage for fast food employees to $20.
This morning, some fast food workers in California will soon be making at least $20 an hour, the highest minimum wage within the restaurant industry, set to begin Monday. Advocates say it's about time, given the extremely high cost of living and inflation.
More and more folks are unable to raise bigger families, or at least, put themselves in a position to retire effectively.
The new law impacts more than 500,000 workers.
To qualify as a fast food restaurant, an establishment must have limited or no table service, require payment at the time of ordering, and be part of a chain with at least 60 locations nationwide. This includes ice cream shops, but excludes fast food outlets located inside theme parks, airports, stadiums, and certain grocery stores due to a loophole.
There are 2 Big Mac burgers now? Never had a Big Mac.
If you're going to try your first Big
McDonald's, with over 1,200 locations in California, will likely be most affected by this law. With multiple shifts, each McDonald's requires around 45 employees. According to the UC Riverside School of Business, the increase in labor costs could lead to a 30% rise in food prices and the closure of hundreds of restaurants. While California and other states have raised minimum wages, many restaurants have voluntarily increased wages to address staffing shortages. Dunkin' Donuts, for example, pays $16 an hour in states where the minimum wage is between $7.25 and $10. This has resulted in some potential military recruits opting to work at fast food restaurants instead, as pay for these entry-level jobs has risen significantly. California, the state with the most fast food workers, also supplies the largest number of recruits to the U.S. military, and its new minimum wage law has made recruitment efforts there even more challenging.
People think Californians are just a bunch of dreamers.
In 2023, the minimum wage in California was $15.50, meaning wages at restaurants increased by 29% in just 1 year. A decade ago, the minimum wage was $9 per hour. So wages for fast food workers have increased by 122% in just 10 years. In comparison, the base pay for a soldier with less than 2 years of service only increased by 32% over the same period, from $1,805.40 to $2,377.50 per month. A McDonald's employee in Los Angeles working 40 hours a week can expect to earn $41,600 per year, while a soldier would make only $28,530. The military does provide other benefits, such as health care and college tuition, which were once seen as a strong incentive for joining. However, McDonald's now offers benefits too, including a 401k retirement program and tuition reimbursement. Thanks to the Affordable Care Act, a single McDonald's employee in LA may qualify for health insurance for around $188 per month. The military has a similar retirement savings program, but military contributions are typically lower than McDonald's, and only about 10% of soldiers stay in long enough to see significant retirement benefits. Soldiers also receive a food allowance valued at around $5,523 per year, bringing a typical recruit's total annual pay to around $35,053, still less than a McDonald's employee. McDonald's employees also receive free meals, which could save them roughly about $1,000 a year. One of the military's greatest benefits is free room and board, but many 18 to 19-year-olds working at McDonald's still live at home. Additionally, conditions at some military bases can be less than desirable. It's also much easier to get a job at McDonald's. The military requires a certain level of physical fitness, a high school diploma or GED, and scores in the top 70% on the Armed Forces Vocational Aptitude Battery Test. McDonald's has none of these requirements. Military service also involves frequent relocation, long hours, harsh conditions, and work weeks that exceed 40 hours. You'd expect that people willing to endure these conditions would be compensated far better than fast food workers, but that isn't the case. While some Americans join the military out of patriotism, family tradition, or a desire to build a career, these individuals are in short supply, and the military cannot rely on them alone. Currently, the government and companies seem to value fast food workers more than soldiers, and this, along with a shrinking pool of young people, will undoubtedly cause issues. So what can the government do? One option would be to temporarily relax ASVAB requirements. Test scores have declined in recent years, possibly due to learning gaps caused by the COVID pandemic, which disrupted in-person education. The Navy has also considered easing diploma and GED requirements, but the most straightforward way to increase enlistment is through pay increases. Unfortunately, this isn't a priority at the moment, but significant military pay increases have occurred before. From 1980 to 1982, military pay rose by 35%, and certain ranks received sizable increases in the early 2000s. California may have been the first state to increase wages for fast food workers, but it won't be the last. New York City now requires a minimum wage of $17.96 for fast food delivery, and Seattle has raised its minimum wage to $19.97. With conflicts unfolding worldwide, now is not the time for the United States to overlook its soldiers. John G. Ferrari, a retired Major General in the U.S. Army and an analyst with American Enterprise Institute, provided much of the research for this video. As he puts it, the cost of increasing pay are far from trivial, but the costs of an undermanned and in turn overworked military are likely to be horrific.
1, 2,